Ancient civilizations separated by oceans built identical structures aligned to the stars. This video reveals 15 archaeological clues pointing to a single, lost knowledge system that connected our ancestors. You will see evidence that forces a complete rethinking of human history, uncovering a forgotten era of global collaboration. How did cultures with no known contact design pyramids with the same sacred mathematics? Why do flood myths and star maps from across the world tell the same story? By the end, the scattered pieces of this ancient puzzle will form a startling new picture of our past. What does it mean for our understanding of human potential if this theory is true? A 100-ton stone block, shaped and moved with a precision that defies simple explanation, appears not in one isolated culture but across the globe. From the cyclopean walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru to the colossal foundations of Okinawa, we find the same mysterious signature, a polygonal masonry where giant stones fit together like a perfect, mortarless puzzle. The surfaces connect so seamlessly that, as many observers note, you cannot slide a piece of paper between them. This was not simple stacking. It was a form of high engineering, creating structures that have withstood millennia of earthquakes. The puzzling question is why? Why would civilizations separated by oceans and continents arrive at the exact same complex solution? A method that required an incredible understanding of stone properties, geometry, and seismic forces. This points to something far more significant than independent invention. It hints at a shared blueprint, a foundational knowledge of how to build in harmony with the earth itself. And as we lift our gaze from these impossible walls, we find their secrets are mirrored in the heavens above. These ancient walls are not the only structures speaking a universal language. Look to the sky and you will find the same story written in stone. From the windswept plains of Salisbury to the dense jungles of the Yucatan, our ancestors built monuments that capture the precise movements of the cosmos. At Stonehenge, the summer solstice sun rises in perfect alignment with the heel stone, casting a long beam of light through the heart of the circle. Thousands of miles away, at Chichen Itza during the equinox, the setting sun transforms the Great Pyramid of Kukulkan into a serpent of light slithering down the staircase. This is more than marking the seasons for planting. This is a profound, shared cosmic science. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a celestial clockwork in stone, with its air shafts pinpointly aligned to the stars of Orion's belt, a constellation deeply woven into creation myths across the ancient world. Even the vast geoglyphs of the Nazca Desert, best viewed from above, may be a giant map of constellations. How could cultures separated by continents independently develop not just the same astronomical knowledge, but the same obsession with encoding it into their most sacred structures with such breathtaking precision? This points to a shared source, a foundational understanding of a complex 26,000-year cycle known as precession, the slow wobble of the Earth's axis. The alignment of these sites reveals a deep awareness of this grand celestial clock, suggesting their builders were part of a tradition that watched the skies for generations, recording patterns we are only now rediscovering. This celestial code, however, is written in a numerical language just as universal. The same mathematical harmony that governs a seashell's growth is encoded in stone across the ancient world. Look beyond the alignments of these monuments to their very proportions, and you will find a hidden numerical language, from the Parthenon's facade in Greece to the interior chambers of the Great Pyramid. Builders repeatedly used the same irrational numbers, the golden ratio and pi. These are not simple whole numbers, but complex, endless decimals that describe perfect spirals and circles. their appearance in architecture separated by millennia and geography is statistically improbable. It points to a shared sacred canon, a set of divine rules for proportion. This was far more than an aesthetic choice. These ratios were believed to tap into the fundamental resonance of the cosmos, creating structures that were in tune with the universe itself. Mathematicians like Livio Catullus Stachini demonstrated how the Great Pyramid's dimensions ingeniously encode both pi and the golden ratio with breathtaking precision. This suggests its builders possessed a profound, perhaps ritualistic, understanding of advanced mathematics. They were not just stacking stones, they were weaving the mathematical fabric of reality into their temples and tombs. And this global architectural code relied on a specific and mysterious unit of measure to translate theory into reality. The mathematical perfection of these structures required a universal language, and that language was written in a standardized unit of measure. From the stone circles of Britain to the Great Pyramids of Egypt, evidence points to the use of a precise, shared measurement system. Researchers like Alexander Thom identified a unit of approximately 2.72 feet, which he termed the megalithic yard, used consistently in monuments across Europe. Thousands of miles away, the builders of the Egyptian pyramids employed the royal cubit, a unit of about 1.72 feet. The mystery deepens when we find that the very dimensions of the Great Pyramid can be expressed using both of these units in elegant harmony. How could such precise standards appear in cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years? This was far more than a simple coincidence of length. It implies a coordinated, scientific tradition of construction and land surveying on a global scale. A master blueprint communicated across continents required a master tape measure to bring it into reality. This shared system of measurement provided the physical framework for a much deeper layer of shared belief, a world of symbols and myths that these perfectly measured structures were designed to embody. These stone walls and celestial maps are not the only fragments of a shared past. The very myths our ancestors told around the fire whisper the same story of a great cataclysm. From the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh to the biblical account of Noah, and even in the Mayan Popol Vuh, we hear the relentless echo of a world-ending flood. These are not isolated tales. They form a chorus of memory spanning every inhabited continent. The Haida of the Pacific Northwest, the Hopi in the American Southwest, and the Aboriginal peoples of Australia all preserve their own versions of this profound event. But the narrative goes deeper than just water. Consistently woven into these stories is the memory of what was lost, a sophisticated ancestor civilization that fell. Plato's Atlantis is the most famous example, a powerful kingdom of advanced knowledge that sank beneath the waves in a single day and night. Yet this theme is universal. These myths speak of a people who possessed great wisdom, who in some accounts grew arrogant, and who were ultimately overcome by a natural force they could not control. Comparative mythologists point to the uncanny commonalities, a warning from a higher power that went unheeded, a cataclysm rising from the ocean, and a small group of survivors who carried the embers of knowledge forward to restart the world. What are we to make of this global testimony? It reads less like coincidence and more like a fragmented historical record, passed down for generations. These stories could be the lingering cultural memory of a real, pan-cultural society that met a sudden, dramatic end. The survivors of such a civilization, scattered across the globe, would have carried with them the seeds of a shared knowledge system, planting them in their new homes from Egypt to Peru. This idea of a lost world and its seafaring survivors compels us to look for physical evidence of their journeys, evidence that might be waiting just off our modern coastlines. The vast, empty oceans we see on maps were anything but empty in the deep past. The sixth clue to a unified knowledge system lies in the waves themselves, with evidence that ancient mariners possessed the skill to cross these immense barriers. This is not a theory of accidental drift, but of intentional, skilled navigation. Consider the humble sweet potato, a plant native to South America. For centuries, its presence across the islands of Polynesia puzzled researchers. How did this staple food cross thousands of miles of open ocean long before European contact? The same mystery applies to a specific type of cotton found in both the Americas and Asia. These are not stories of random seeds floating on the current, but biological signatures of human travel, of deliberate voyages that carried plants, people, and ideas between continents. The legendary explorer Thor Heyerdahl put this idea to the test, building a simple balsa wood raft named Antiquity and using only the currents and winds to sail from Peru to the Polynesian islands. His successful journey proved that such contact was not just possible but probable. The evidence deepens when we look beyond plants. Stylistic echoes in artifacts, from the distinct shapes of pottery to the intricate methods of metalworking, appear in cultures separated by vast seas. These are not universal human instincts, but specific, complex techniques that suggest a shared teacher or a direct line of cultural exchange. This redefines our entire understanding of the ancient world. The oceans were not impenetrable walls, they were the planet's first global highways. If people and their goods could travel these routes, then so could the most precious cargo of all, knowledge. The complex understanding of celestial cycles, sacred mathematics, and architectural principles we see encoded in stone could have been carried by these ancient sailors, transferred from one culture to the next, preserving a single, sophisticated system of understanding the world. And this shared system of knowledge was not just about building and navigating, it was about healing, using a science of the body that appears with startling similarity across the globe. A deeper mystery lies in how these cultures measured not just space but time itself. Across the ancient world, we find calendars that reach far beyond the simple tracking of days and seasons. The Maya long count calendar, for instance, charts vast cycles of creation and destruction spanning thousands of years. On the other side of the world, the ancient Hindu texts describe a nearly identical concept, the Yuga cycle, where the world moves through distinct ages, each ending in a period of cleansing and renewal. Both systems describe a cosmos governed by immense, repeating rhythms, not just linear progress. How could two cultures with no known contact develop such a sophisticated and synchronized understanding of cosmic time? The answer may lie in the stars. These grand cycles align remarkably well with the slow, 26,000-year wobble of our planet's axis, a phenomenon known as the precession of the equinoxes. This was not a simple observation. It required generations of meticulous astronomical record-keeping. A project of such scale, it suggests a shared, ancestral source of knowledge. These were not just calendars, they were prophetic clocks counting down to ages of transformation, built on a science of deep time that viewed human history as part of a much larger celestial story. And this profound awareness of cosmic cycles was given physical form in the most iconic and widespread structures of the ancient world. A mountain of stone reaching for the stars, this form appears again and again. From the sun-baked deserts of Egypt to the mist-shrouded jungles of Guatemala, the pyramid stands as one of humanity's most enduring and universal creations. Why would cultures separated by oceans and millennia all choose this specific, geometrically complex shape? The Egyptians built them as monumental tombs for their pharaohs, gateways to the afterlife. In Mesopotamia, the great ziggurats served as stairways for the gods to descend to earth. The massive temple pyramids of the Maya and Aztecs were stages for ritual and astronomical observation, their steps often drenched in ceremonial practice. And in China, ancient earthen pyramids are believed to be the resting places of early emperors. On the surface, their functions seem different, a tomb here, a temple there. Yet they share a profound, underlying unity. Nearly every one of these structures is perfectly aligned to the four cardinal directions, a feat of engineering that required precise astronomical knowledge. More importantly, they all embody the same powerful idea, a sacred mountain bridging the earth and the heavens. This was a place of ascension, where a human soul could climb toward the divine or a deity could step into the mortal world. The sheer repetition of this form and its symbolic meaning across the globe is staggering. It is as if every culture was working from the same spiritual blueprint, constructing a physical ladder to the sky based on a shared memory of how the universe works. And within these silent, soaring structures, we sometimes find objects that deepen the mystery, artifacts that challenge our entire timeline of human innovation. A quiet mystery rests within a shipwreck 2,000 years old. The Antiquity mechanism discovered off the coast of Greece is not a simple statue or pot. It is a complex bronze device, an intricate clockwork of gears that could predict planetary movements and eclipses with stunning accuracy. For centuries, nothing of comparable complexity would appear again in the historical record. It is a relic of a technology that seems to vanish from history, a glimpse of a knowledge system that was somehow lost. This is not an isolated case. In Scotland, the ancient stone forts of Tap o' Nath and others are not merely stacked rock. Their walls are vitrified, fused together by heat so intense it turned solid stone into a glass-like substance. Conventional history offers no clear explanation for how or why ancient builders could achieve such temperatures. Then there are the stones of Egypt and Peru, where we find cores drilled from granite and basalt with machine-like precision. The spiraling grooves in these drill holes are so clean and regular that they suggest the use of a fixed, powerful tool, not patient hand carving with a primitive drill. These objects, often called out-of-place artifacts, are the physical evidence of a forgotten technological prowess. They are not mythical, they are real, sitting in museums and on ancient hillsides, challenging our timeline of human innovation. They point to a period where sophisticated techniques for astronomy, construction, and material science were not just known but applied. The loss of such knowledge is one of history's great silences, a gap in our story that suggests a catastrophic interruption. This advanced understanding was not limited to small objects, however. The same sophisticated mind that could craft a complex gearbox was also capable of reshaping the very earth on a monumental scale. The lifeblood of civilization flows not just through rivers, but through the intricate channels designed to command it. While we marvel at pyramids reaching for the stars, an equally profound mastery was at work beneath our feet, a global understanding of water itself. From the high-altitude plains of Tiwanaku in Bolivia, with its complex network of canals and precise flood control, to the vast subterranean aqueducts known as qanats in ancient Persia that tapped hidden groundwater without a single pump, we see a universal signature. This is sophisticated hydraulic engineering, a science of moving and managing water that appears with startling similarity across the world. The Romans are celebrated for their magnificent arched aqueducts, yet 1,000 years earlier, the cities of the Indus Valley, like Mohenjo-Daro, boasted advanced sanitation systems with covered drains and public baths. Far to the east, the sprawling temple complex of Angkor Wat in Cambodia was sustained by a massive, meticulously engineered reservoir and canal system that managed monsoonal floods and supported a vast population. This was not just about bringing water to a city. It was about a deep, shared knowledge of hydrology, the contouring of land to create gravity-fed flow, the management of water pressure, and the prevention of erosion. How could cultures separated by continents and millennia all arrive at the same elegant solutions for taming rivers and harnessing groundwater? This points to a shared foundation of geotechnical and environmental wisdom, a core part of the unified knowledge system. Mastery over water, the essential source of life, was a cornerstone of this ancient science, a testament to a civilization that learned to live in harmony with the forces of the earth. And this profound connection to the planet's energy may have extended far beyond simple irrigation, into a science we are only beginning to comprehend. The silent stones of ancient sites might be listening to the very heartbeat of the planet. Beneath the visible world of pyramids and temples lies an invisible web, a network of energy that some believe our ancestors could perceive and harness. This is the 11th clue, the radical idea that sacred sites from Stonehenge to the Great Pyramid and the silent Moai of Easter Island are not randomly scattered. They are strategically placed on specific node points of a planetary grid, points where the Earth's own telluric energy is said to be most potent. Researchers like Ivan T. Sanderson mapped these locations and found startling geometric relationships. The distances between these global points often form perfect triangles and other sacred shapes, a pattern so mathematically precise it defies simple coincidence. Was this a form of ancient geomancy, a science of aligning human structures with the planet's subtle forces? Proponents of this theory suggest these cultures could detect magnetic or ley lines, channels of Earth energy. They might have used these forces to amplify spiritual practices, perhaps to alter states of consciousness during rituals, or even as a forgotten form of natural technology. While mainstream science remains skeptical of such energy lines, the undeniable geometric harmony between these sites presents a profound puzzle. It implies their builders possessed a geodetic knowledge, a sophisticated understanding of the Earth's true size and shape, long before we believed such a thing was possible. This global awareness of our planet's form is the next piece of the puzzle, a clue written not in myth or stone, but in the very coordinates of these ancient wonders. A map drawn in 1513 holds a secret that should not exist. The Piri Reis map, compiled by an Ottoman admiral from much older source charts, famously depicts the coastline of Antarctica free of its immense ice cap. This is a geographical feature that has been buried for millions of years, a landmass we only confirmed with modern seismic technology in the 20th century. How could a Renaissance cartographer have access to such information? The implication is staggering that a much earlier, unknown seafaring civilization possessed the means to accurately survey a continent we could not see. This is not an isolated case. Other Portolan charts from the same era show similarly impossible knowledge, depicting landmasses with a precision that seems to defy the era of their creation. This points to a forgotten age of exploration, a time when master navigators may have mapped the entire globe with a science we have since lost. This geodetic knowledge, the sophisticated measurement of the Earth itself, is etched into the very foundations of the world's oldest structures. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not only a celestial observatory but a geodetic marker of breathtaking accuracy. Its base is almost a perfect square, aligned to the four cardinal directions with an error of less than a single degree. To achieve this, its builders needed an advanced understanding of spherical trigonometry, compensating for the planet's curvature to maintain such precision over a structure spanning over 13 acres. They were not just building a tomb, they were placing a permanent mathematical monument on the face of the Earth. This same sophisticated surveying skill would have been absolutely essential for the long-distance navigation required to connect the pyramid builders of Egypt with the megalithic engineers of Peru. It suggests a coordinated global project, all founded on a shared and incredibly advanced understanding of our world's true shape and size. This profound connection to the planet finds a startling parallel in how these same cultures understood the energy systems of the human body. A shared vision of the human body emerges from the ancient world, one where physical health and spiritual vitality were inseparable. From the precise energy pathways of Chinese acupuncture to the subtle channels known as nadis in Indian Ayurveda, we find a remarkably consistent map of an invisible energy system within us. These traditions, born thousands of miles apart, both developed the concept of a life force flowing through specific conduits, and that blockages in this flow led to illness. Their healing practices involved manipulating these channels with needles, pressure, or meditation to restore balance. This was not mere superstition. It was a sophisticated, holistic understanding of the human organism. The same principle appears in the widespread use of specific herbs for healing. Plants like willow bark, a natural source of aspirin, were used independently by cultures across the globe to relieve pain and reduce fever. This points to a deep, shared empirical knowledge of the natural world's pharmacy. Even a more intense practice like trepanation, the careful drilling of a hole in the skull, appears in both prehistoric Europe and among the ancient Paracas culture of Peru. The fact that individuals often survived this procedure suggests it was performed with remarkable skill and a shared belief, perhaps to relieve pressure or release malevolent spirits. These are not random coincidences of human development. They are the fingerprints of a foundational system that viewed the body, mind, and spirit as a single, integrated entity. This holistic science of life was a cornerstone of the unified knowledge, a system that understood our inner world with the same precision it applied to mapping the stars. And this profound wisdom was often communicated through a universal language of symbols, a code that could be understood across any spoken tongue. A serpent coiled in a perfect circle, consuming its own tail, appears in the sands of ancient Egypt and is echoed in the frozen myths of the Norse. This is the Ouroboros, a symbol of eternal return, of cycles without beginning or end. It is not alone. The spiral, carved into the stones of Newgrange in Ireland and painted on pottery in the American Southwest, seems to chart the same cosmic journey. A tree, its roots deep in the earth and branches stretching to the heavens, is revered as the axis of the world from the carvings of Mesopotamia to the sacred texts of the Maya. These are not random acts of creativity. They form a universal symbolic language, a silent code used by cultures across the globe to convey the most profound truths of existence. This shared iconography represents a visual shorthand for complex cosmological principles. The serpent often embodies wisdom, healing, and the cyclical nature of time. The Tree of Life maps the connection between the underworld, the earthly realm, and the celestial domains. The sun cross, a circle divided by a cross, is a near-universal symbol for the sun, the four cardinal directions, and the cyclical seasons. When you see the same intricate symbol with the same layered meaning appear in two unconnected civilizations, the odds of independent invention grow incredibly slim. It points instead to a common source, a foundational teaching that used these powerful images to encode a sophisticated understanding of the universe. This was a way to transmit core spiritual and scientific knowledge across language barriers and generations. These symbols were the mnemonic devices of a global curriculum, ensuring that the essential lessons about creation, life, death, and rebirth would never be forgotten. They were the vessels for a wisdom so advanced that it was painted on pottery and carved into temple walls, hiding in plain sight for millennia. This symbolic system, a global lexicon of sacred ideas, brings us to the final and perhaps most tangible clue left behind by this lost world. The final clue is not written in stone, but whispered in the stories told for generations. Complex mathematical and astronomical knowledge appears to be ingeniously encoded within the very fabric of myth and folklore. This was a failsafe, a way to preserve crucial data within narratives so compelling they would never be forgotten. Take, for example, the biblical story of Noah's Ark. The dimensions given for the vessel, when calculated, produce a length-to-width ratio of 6:1. This is not a random number. Modern naval architects confirm this is a remarkably stable ratio for a large, seaworthy ship designed to weather a massive, turbulent event. It is a precise engineering specification hidden within a sacred tale. This pattern of numerical encoding is even more profound in the ancient Sanskrit Vedas. The entire structure of these texts is built upon intricate mathematical patterns. The syllables, the meter, and the very arrangement of the verses are governed by a complex code. This practice, known as gematria or sacred numerology, was a global phenomenon. It ensured that advanced knowledge of geometry, physics, and celestial cycles could be passed down orally and in writing, safe from the decay of time or the literal interpretations of later generations. The story itself became a vault, and the numbers were the combination lock. This reveals the ultimate ingenuity of this unified system. It was not reliant on fragile technology or perishable libraries. It was woven into the cultural DNA of humanity through epic poems and foundational legends. The knowledge became immortal because it was disguised as a story. We are left with a staggering realization. The scattered clues of polygonal walls, celestial alignments, and global myths are not separate mysteries. They are individual threads from a single, magnificent tapestry. This points toward a forgotten chapter in the human story, an era of profound global connection and a shared, sophisticated understanding of our world and our place in the cosmos. What does this recovered legacy mean for us today, and what might it suggest about the true potential of human civilization? 15 separate threads now lie before us, from the impossible precision of polygonal walls to the celestial code embedded in global myth. The sheer weight of this evidence forms a pattern too intricate, too consistent, to be explained away as random chance. We are left with a fundamental question demanding an answer. Did these similarities bloom independently from a universal human mind, or do they point to a shared external source? One compelling theory suggests a kind of collective unconscious, a deep, intuitive understanding of sacred geometry and cosmic cycles that every culture taps into. This idea of a shared psychological bedrock is fascinating, yet it struggles to account for the specific, transferable technologies, the identical units of measurement, and the precise astronomical data encoded across continents. A shared intuition might inspire a pyramid shape, but it does not provide the mathematical formula for pi or the engineering knowledge to move a 100-ton block. This leads us to the more tangible theory of a lost mother culture, a sophisticated civilization that predates all known history. Legends like Atlantis or a global seafaring society like Mu offer a narrative vessel for this idea, a single, advanced source whose survivors scattered after a cataclysm, carrying the seeds of their knowledge to every corner of the world. This would elegantly explain the sudden appearance of fully formed complex systems in places like Egypt and Sumer, as if these were not beginnings but rebirths. A third, and perhaps more plausible, model is that of a vast prehistoric network, a web of cultural exchange that connected the ancient world long before our history books begin. This was not a single point of origin, but a slow, persistent diffusion of ideas, goods, and people across oceans and land bridges we once thought impassable. The sweet potato in Polynesia and the shared styles of metalworking are the footprints of this network. It suggests a world where knowledge was the most valued trade good, passed from master to apprentice, from port to port, for thousands of years, creating a unified system not by decree but through sustained interaction. The evidence tilts the scales decisively toward this notion of a transmitted knowledge system. The geodetic precision, the shared understanding of precession, the encoded mathematics, these are not the products of vague intuition. They are the hallmarks of a sophisticated, teachable science. Acknowledging this reality forces a profound re-evaluation of our past. It suggests that human civilization is not a simple story of linear progress from primitive to advanced, but a cycle of rise and fall, of forgetting and remembering. The legacy of this lost world challenges us to reconsider the very nature of human potential and what we might yet rediscover. 15 separate threads now weave together into a single, undeniable tapestry of our past. We have journeyed from the seamless stone walls of Peru to the celestial clocks of Giza, from the global echo of a great flood to the precise engineering hidden within ancient myths. Each clue on its own invites curiosity, but together they form a chorus of evidence that our ancestors were part of a sophisticated, interconnected world. The implications of this are staggering, challenging the very foundation of our historical narrative. It suggests a forgotten epoch of human achievement, a period of global collaboration, an advanced understanding that was lost to time, only to be glimpsed in the fragments that survived. This is more than a revision of dates and names. It is a redefinition of human potential itself. It asks us to consider that civilization is not a straight line from primitive to advanced, but a cycle, with peaks of knowledge that can be reached, lost, and perhaps reached again. What other secrets lie buried, not in the sands of Egypt, but in the very stories we tell and the structures we have yet to fully understand? The quest to piece together our true history is an ongoing adventure. If this exploration of humanity's hidden past has sparked your curiosity, I invite you to join the search. Subscribe for more content that challenges the narrative, and share your own thoughts and theories in the comments below. The story is far from over, and the next great discovery could be just one clue away.